Torres, of course, joins a team that are super conquerors. That's what the front page of L'Équipe says after they defeated Aston Villa by 2-1 to win the UEFA Super Cup. Here's Luis Enrique.
We try to be competitive. It's important to be competitive this season. Starting this season in that way, it's important, and we are happy to achieve that trophy, but we are very far from the normal position to compete in the future. And we are going to prepare this season in the same way that the last 2 years, trying to win every single trophy. That's our goal, that's our ambition, and that's the ambition of the club and the ambition of our supporters.
It's an ambition, of course, they have fulfilled rather impressively over the last couple of seasons, looking to make it 3 Champions League victories in a row. Let's take a look at how the bookies have things set, looking ahead to the final in May. Not too long to go now until that takes place. PSG,
I'm sorry, what?
Our favourites. Arsenal sitting second alongside Bayern. Real Madrid.
Manchester United? What the?
I know Real Madrid are ahead of Barcelona, but there you go. Liverpool were there for some crazy reason as well. Right, Jan, let me ask you this. If PSG don't win the Champions League, why not and who will?
Well, I think that I will agree that Arsenal has got to get some good players in. I think they still missed that number 9. We said that many times, but I think they missed the number 9 because they need a goal getter. They need that 1-0 player. They need that 1-0 goal getter that they need to go all the way. I will very close this season, of course, but I still think I understand that the favourites are PSG going into this season, because I think that we could say now, if we can all agree, that Luis Enrique at the moment is the absolutely best coach in the world.
So you would say Arsenal would win if PSG don't, but PSG's your team, Jan?
I will always say that, but I know that's lazy punditry, because it's so easy to say that.
That's fine.
No. But it's easy to say that the reigning champion will still do it. I think that when we start discussing, we're getting closer now to the Premier League. We've seen an Arsenal team that has get good players in. But the thing is, I think it's also important to say what Luis Enrique is saying there. I think that coming out of the World Cup now, there's a lot of players that need the beginning of the season to like a pre-season. And yes, it's a long time before the May Champions League final, but we all know how important it is for a team to set. And we were talking about Torres. Maybe that is kind of the idea also for PSG. I mean, you won't have your starting 11 now going on all cylinders already in August, September. So I would say Arsenal up there. I would love to say Bayern as well. And let's see. I mean, 2 great challenges. Real Madrid with Mourinho. Mourinho hasn't won a title for 4 years. Can he do it? And is that the Champions League? Ooh, I doubt it.
Jan brings up a good point, Frank. Obviously, we're counting down to the start of the season. But we saw last season, PSG's campaign started much later than everybody else's because they could afford to do that. They knew when they needed to turn it on that they had, within those resources, to do that. Teams like Arsenal can't afford that because they know that every point dropped will be punished by the end of the season as opposed to Ligue 1. So in that case, PSG have a great advantage. Is that fair?
That's quite fair. I mean, in a way that even the season before, the first time that they won the Champions League, they didn't do in the group stages. So they allowed themselves to be quite average, I would say, even in the League One, if we watch last season and the season before, and starts around December and be as strong as nobody else in February. That's insane. So it's up to Arsenal to do the same, but in the same time, we all know that Paris Saint-Germain will win the League One. 99, the odds are maybe 90% for them and 10 for the rest, maybe. Arsenal has to fight from the beginning because they have to ensure everything. They are the favorites of the Premier League, so they can't let go. They can't waste points at the beginning of the season because maybe there will be a lack of points at the end of the season. But they have to fight everywhere. So you need that. You need performances, you need to be spot on at the beginning, so it's going to be harder for Arsenal to win the Champions League. But yes, they have a team for that, but like Bayern, they have a team. But I wouldn't put Real Madrid. Maybe I would give more chance to maybe Barcelona instead of Real Madrid right now. But PSG are the favorites. and should win right now, if we talk about today, their third Champions League in a row.
It's interesting, thinking back when we've done this show years ago, we were talking about a Bayern Munich side who was so dominant in the Bundesliga and looked so good, but they couldn't get it across the line because they weren't playing against great teams week in, week out. That argument seems to have completely shifted now with PSG, isn't it?
Well, I think what we see from PSG is that they sort of, the whole first half of the season, it feels like they are in warm-up mode. It feels like these guys are doing calisthenics on the side of the field, and they're just stretching and kind of getting loose.
I can imagine it's like you playing with Alejandro in the backyard. You give maybe a 3 or 4 goal lead, and then the Moreno skill really turns up.
That was about 2 or 3 years ago. Alejandro since then has grown up, and I can no longer give that sort of advantage. But it does feel like PSG are just warming up the first half of the season. And then once they get going, and I think this is where managers really play a part. And this is when you know your team better than anybody else. And you know what buttons to push. Let's not forget at some point during the season where Dembele was benched by Luis Enrique. And you're pressing those buttons because you know that the best version of your team is at a high level, perhaps higher than everybody else. But in order to get to that level, you can't do that in November and expect that to be sustained all the way till May. Realistically, so you're building your way up, and they can afford, to your point, they can afford to do that because they don't really have the competition in Ligue 1. So they work themselves into Champions League, and once everybody's sort of grinding at the end of the season in the Premier League, for example, PSG is already looking at everybody down in Ligue 1. It's like, okay, we're quite fresh. These guys are not. We're ready to go. We're working ourselves up. These guys are on the way down, and that's when they kill teams, particularly from the Premier League.
Yeah.
For me, and you saw Luis Enrique do this last couple of seasons, I think last season in particular, where so many of his star players play a handful of games, almost all season long, and in particular in the run-in, as you go deeper in the Champions League in particular, you're able to rest players on the weekend and just focus on the Champions League in a way that nobody else does. To the point where, at one point, we were having a conversation about Ousmane Dembele and whether he was Ballon d'Or worthy, and if France won the World Cup. This is a player who played, a dozen games all season long. I mean, I know there were some injuries in there, but Luis Enrique is able to use his squad and pick and choose which games they play. They're going to win Ligue 1, so you can play a dozen games all season long and focus on the Champions League as a result in a way that nobody else can.
I do think that. Sorry, Shaka. I interrupted you, Shaka. My apologies. I thought you had.
You're more than welcome.
Okay. In terms of what team is a bigger threat to PSG, I think I would take Bayern Munich over Arsenal as being a threat.
Do you think they learnt their lesson?
Well, I think they can match PSG offensively.
Yeah.
And if they're able to work better defensively and the transition moments in which they got destroyed by PSG, I think offensively they can match against PSG. And there is something to be said about, Bayern Munich sort of taking steps forward, Vincent Kompany, and it feels like there's a natural progression. The next progression for them is to get to a Champions League final. In order to do that, more than likely, you're going to have to beat a team like PSG. And they've already matched them. They looked at them eye to eye, and they weren't that far off. And I think that's a learning experience for everybody on that team.
I thought Bayern and PSG were the best two teams in the Champions League, particularly later on in the competition. And I know Arsenal fans are screaming they got a final, it went down to penalties, everything else of the sort.
Yeah, they are, Shaka. They are screaming.
But I thought Bayern were closer to PSG than Arsenal showed themselves to be, despite going to penalties. And I also still have the same criticism around Arsenal. While they've strengthened, while they've gotten better, do they have that out-and-out goal scorer? Can Gyökeres be that player? I still have my doubts. That's the one department.
But PSG don't have that out-and-out goal scorer, do they?
But PSG have won 2 Champions League. They've back to back. They've shown that they don't need
Arsenal
that.
won the Premier League, Shaq.
They won the Premier League, but I'm still not overly convinced by Arsenal or what Arsenal have in terms of attacking threat. You can almost see that.
It just sounds like lazy punditry.
No, Arsenal, for me, had City been better, as they had been 3 seasons before. I'm not sure we're talking about Arsenal as defending champions right now.
Do you notice how he's been very positive with Arsenal?
Yeah.
This is the beginning of the season. You know, there are certain inconsistencies to the way that Dan treated Arsenal last year. That's all.
How dare you? Just a reminder, for a lot more on what happened, PSG's victory against Aston Villa, the boys covered it yesterday. That's available on our YouTube channel.